Hi, thanks for stopping by today. I'm going to tell a story about an ancestor that actually is not a direct line ancestor of mine. Actually, is an ancestor that belongs to my wife, Patricia Brimhall Lewis, and this is Stephen Chadwick Perry. Um, Stephen Perry is actually a great great grandfather of my wife, and that would mean for my kids, he is your third great grandfather. And for my grandkids who may be watching this would be their great 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 grandfather. And kind of an interesting story. It's a little short one, but I thought it might be a little bit interesting for you. Stephen Perry was actually a constable in Nauvoo, and we can call the constable today, we could call him a policeman in Nauvoo, or maybe a sheriff. We have sheriffs here in Virginia because we're an incorporated city. So the sheriff of Loudoun County is the one that helps uphold the law and keep the people, the residents, safe. So that's what Stephen Chadwick Perry was. He was a constable, okay, like the sheriff or policeman. In 1844, there was a little story that happened in Nauvoo, and the city of Nauvoo, the city council, decided that there was a newspaper called the Nauvoo Expositor that should no longer be allowed to be in business. And Stephen Perry was actually one of those who was responsible for the destruction of the press in Nauvoo. And so what we're going to start with, this is out of the history of the church. I have the account here. Joseph Smith, History of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Introductory notes by B.H. Roberts. It looks like it's volume 7, page 453. Volume 6, page 453. At least if that's the way I read the notes correctly here. And so this is the actual warrant that was signed. It says, stated Wednesday, June 12th, 1844, 10 a.m. At 1:30, I was arrested on the following writ. State of Illinois, Hancock County. The people of the state of Illinois, to all constables, sheriffs, and coroners of state, greeting. Whereas complaint hath been made before me, one of the justices of the peace, within and for the county of Hancock aforesaid, upon the oath of Francis M. Higby of said county, that Joseph Smith, John Taylor, W.W. Phelps, Hiram Smith, Stephen Perry, it goes on, Stephen Markham, who was actually also a relative of ours, William Edwards, Porter Rockwell of said county, did on the 10th day of June instant commit a riot at and within the county aforesaid, wherein they, with force and violence, broke into the office of the Nauvoo Expositor, and unlawfully and with force burned and destroyed the printing press, type, and fixtures of the same, being the property of William Law, Wilson Law, Charles Ivans, Francis Higby, Chauncey Higby, Robert Foster, and Charles Foster. These are therefore to command you forthwith to apprehend said Joseph Smith, Samuel Bennett, John Taylor, W.W. Phelps, Hiram Smith, Stephen Perry, the names go on here, Porter Rockwell, Levi Richards, and bring them before me or some other justice of the peace to answer the premises and further to be dealt with according to the law. Given under my hand and seal at Carthage in the county aforesaid on this 11th day of June, 1844, signed Thomas Morrison, Justice of the Peace. So that was the arrest warrant that was issued. And a little after noon on the 12th of June, 1844, David Bettesworth, and this is actually a transcript that was kept by George Q. Cannon, and these are his words. A little after noon on the 12th day of June, David Bettesworth came to Nauvoo from Carthage with a warrant for the arrest of Joseph Smith, Samuel Bennett, John Taylor, W.W. Phelps, Hiram Smith, John P. Green, Stephen Perry, Dominic Huntington, Jonathan Dunham, Stephen Markham, who, like I said, is also a relative of ours, William Edwards, Jonathan Harmon, Jesse Harmon, John Lytle, Joseph Coolidge, Harvey Redfield, Porter Rockwell, and Levi Richards, upon a complaint sworn by Francis M. Higbee charging the parties named with committing a riot. The writ was issued by Thomas Morrison, Justice of the Peace at Carthage, and commanded the officer to bring the parties named before Morrison or some other Justice of the Peace within the county. Bettesworth, immediately upon arriving at Nauvoo, served this upon Joseph, and afterwards upon the others named herein. Joseph called his attention to a clause in the writ, before me or some other Justice of Peace of said county, and demanded to be taken before Esquire Johnson or some other Justice of the Peace in Nauvoo. They did not want to go back to Carthage. They wanted to talk with the Justice of the Peace in Nauvoo. Hiram made the same demand. Many people were present, and Joseph and Hiram called upon them to witness that they had offered themselves in answer to the writ to go forth before the nearest Justice of the Peace. This was strictly in accordance with the law, but it did not answer the purpose of the mobocrats either in Nauvoo or Carthage. And Bettesworth said, quote, I will be damned, but I will carry you before Justice Morrison at Carthage. So he wasn't going to have anything to do with it. So kind of interesting that we have one, if not two, of our ancestors through my wife's side, and for my kids, for your third, yes, your third great-grandfather, fourth great-grandfather for my grandkids, was involved in that little piece of Nauvoo history. And is that something to be proud of? I don't know. The destruction of the Nauvoo expositor did cause some problems. Did it avoid others? We'll never know. But I just think it's kind of neat that we were called out and mentioned. At least our ancestors were. So thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you again next time.